शिवा सादि गौर भक्त वृंद की
जय।
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की
जय।
मथुरापुरी धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगा माई जमुना माई तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्याम वेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hare Hare Bol.
Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna everyone. Today is Akshaya Tritiya. This is very, very auspicious day to start anything, and best thing to start bhakti. Mostly the increasing in the bhakti. We can increase our chanting, increase our reading, increase hearing. So once we start increasing these things, then it will keep increasing. That's Akshaya Tritiya. It never finishes, it never goes, reduces. It goes up and up only. So that is the advantage. And we should take full advantage of that. And second significance, we should donate for the cause of spreading Krishna consciousness. And today, whatever we do, donate the money to any temple or for the Gau Seva or whatever, it will increase many, many folds. The benefits of that increases many, many folds. So we should take this into consideration and try to see how much we can increase. But when we increase, we should make sure we should maintain that. It's not increase only for today, do some extra round and tomorrow the same thing, it should not be like that, We can do more today, but then we should not promise to ourselves that I will really continue this all the time, like that. So let us start. Today we are reading Caitanya Caritamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 5, text number 153. Narasimha Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
নীলাচলে আমি মোর সবেহিত কইলা সব দণ্ড ধন ছিল তাহা না রাখিলা.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have all benefited me by bringing me to Nilachal. However, my only possession was that one stuff, and you have not kept it. So here we can see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing his anger, because in the previous sloka 152 we read that Nityananda Prabhu was describing him, how his sannyas danda was broken, because he said, you were in ecstasy and I was trying to hold you, and we both fell down on the sannyas danda and it broke into many, many pieces, 3 pieces, and that's why it was broken and I threw it out in the river. So that was his explanation. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu still showed his anger. And he's showing here that he's telling everyone that this was the only my possession, and my only possession is that stuff, and you have not kept it. You cannot keep even one thing for me. So that's bad. And he said, but thank you for bringing me to Jagannath Puri. So it has benefited me a lot. Like that. Next verse, please.
তুমি সব আগে যাহো ঈশ্বর দেখিতে কিবা আমি আগে যাই না যাব সহিতে.
So all of you should go before or behind me to see Lord Jagannath. I shall not go with you. So here we can see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing anger to the devotees which came from Nilachal with him to going to Jagannath Puri. So that's why. And there was reason actually. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to teach all other sannyasis that they should not give up the sannyas danda until unless they attain the platform of Paramhansa stage. So that's why he showed his anger also. He knew why Nityananda Prabhu did, because Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they both are the supreme lords, So it's not Nityananda Prabhu didn't know his heart, what he wanted, but showing the anger to show all of us that whosoever takes a sannyas, they should have the sannyas danda. They should not throw away and go without that. So this is just giving the example to all the sannyasis who will take sannyas in the future also, that they should keep the sannyas danda. Next verse, please.
মুকুন্দ দত্ত কহে, প্রভু তুমি যাহো আগে, আমি সবে পাছে যাব, না যাব তোমার সঙ্গে।
So Mukunda told Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my Lord, you should go ahead and allow all others to follow. We shall not go with you. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the last verse said that I am angry on you, so all of you can go before me and I will come behind you, or I go first and then you follow me, you later on you come, like that, but I will not go with you. That's what he's saying. And Mukundadatta Prabhu, who was with him, he said that the Lord, you please go ahead and we all other will follow later on, and we will not go with you, so don't worry about that. Next verse, please.
এত শুনি প্রভু আগে চলিলা শীঘ্র গতি, বুঝিতে না পারে কেহ দুই প্রভুর মতি।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then began to walk very swiftly before all the other devotees. No one could understand the real purpose of both the Lords, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. So once Mukundadatta said that, Lord, you can go ahead of us, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started walking very swiftly, very with speed, in the haste. And before all other devotees can start walking, he just went very fast. But nobody can understand why, what was the real purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showing this anger like that, and also why Nityananda Prabhu broke his stuff. So these both things, nobody could understand. Next verse, please.
ইহে কেন দণ্ড ভাঙে, তেহে কেন ভাঙায়, ভাঙিয়া ক্রোধে কে তেহে ইহাকে দোষায়।
So the devotees could not understand why Nityananda Prabhu broke the stuff, why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu permitted him to do so, nor why after permitting him Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry. So these things actually nobody could understand, because this is the Leela of the Supreme Lord. Nobody could not understand why Nityananda Prabhu broke the stuff. Nobody could know, because Nityananda Prabhu actually knew very well that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't need to carry this sannyas danda all the time with him, because he is above the Paramahansa stage, of course, he is the Supreme Lord himself, so he need not to carry that, and he wanted to show the world that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's real position, that he is the Supreme Lord. He's not a sannyasi or anybody, but he's doing this leela like human being, and came in this form just to, is a form of, in the form of a devotee, to teach us, how the devotion should be performed properly. So that was his real purpose. So, and nobody knew why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu permitted him to do so, because without the permission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nobody could do anything. Even Nityananda Prabhu cannot do it. Nityananda Prabhu is all the time serves Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So without the will of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who could not do, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord. Without his sanction, not even blade of grass can move. So how Nityananda Prabhu can break his stuff, sannyas danda, cannot do that. And nobody could understand that he permitted that thing, because Nityananda Prabhu will not do that. So once he permitted, then why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry, because he wanted to show the anger, that he was angry, then nobody should do that, to break the sannyas danda. Next verse, please.
দণ্ডভঙ্গ লীলা এই পরম গম্ভীর, সেই বুঝে দুহার পদে যার ভক্তি ধীর।
The pastime of breaking the stuff is very deep. Only one whose devotion is fixed upon the lotus feet of the two lords can understand it. So this pastime of breaking the sannyas danda is having very deep meaning actually. And people, the devotees whose devotion is fixed on the lotus feet, so whosoever is fixed in the devotion to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lords, Nityananda Prabhu and the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they can understand. Other people will not be understanding this, because this is very intimate pastimes of that, and everybody will not understand why, why these things were done. So one who understands Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu in reality can understand their identity as well as the breaking of the stuff. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, what was the real understanding? Nobody will understand this, And all the previous acharya being induced to engage themselves fully in the service of the Lord, gave up the attachment for material life, and thus accepted the stuff, which signifies full engagement of the mind, speech, and body in the service of the Lord. So we can see the life of all previous acharyas, Guru Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, how they kept up their sannyas ashram, that they were fully attached to the service of the Lord, and they were not engaged in any kind of material life. They had no attachment for material life, because once you grow up, increase in the bhakti, the attachment with material things, they should decrease slowly, and then completely at one stage, when you are in the pure devotional service, then there should be no attachment at all. So that is the taste which one person can understand by himself, that his taste is how it is reducing from the material things. So we can see that how this great acharyas, actually, they were fully engaged their manasa, vacha, and karmana. Is all by their mind, by their speech, and by their body, their work. They serve a Lord all the time. And once you engage your whole time in the service of the Lord, then you will have no time for even thinking about these material things. So, as much as possible, one should engage his time in the service of the Lord. That way, our mind can all the time thinking about the Lord, doing Lord's leelas, puja of the Lord, so different things, reading, hearing. There's so many engagements, actually. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave by example, and it showed to his devotees, actually, how we should do that. And we should follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then our life will be actually engaged properly in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. However, in the Paramahansa stage, there is no need to accept done stuff. Hence, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was certainly in the Paramahansa stage. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was definitely in the Paramahansa stage. So there was no need, nonetheless, to indicate that everyone should take sannyas at the end of the life in order to engage fully in the service of the Lord. Even Paramahansa, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his confidential devotee, follow the regulatory principles unfailingly. So whatever principles are set, actually, they by the great acharyas and by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they should be followed properly without fail. That way, the bhakti can proceed. Otherwise, it will not. Indeed, that was his purpose. That was the purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that everybody should unfailingly, strictly, actually follow the whatever rules and regulations. So one has to keep the danda. Any sannyas, whosoever takes a sannyas order, they should keep the sannyas danda with them. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to carry it, to show the whole world. Indeed, that was his purpose. Nityananda Prabhu, who was his eternal servitor, believed that there was no need for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to carry this stuff and to declare the word that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was above all regulation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the Supreme Lord, and he need not to follow any kind of regulations of this material world, because he is the Supreme Lord. That's why he broke into three pieces. The pastime known as Danda Bhanga Leela is thus explained by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Next verse, please.
ব্রহ্মণ্য দেব গোপালের মহিমা এই ধন্য, নিত্যানন্দ বক্তা যার শ্রোতা শ্রী চৈতন্য।
The glories of the Lord Gopala, who is merciful to Brahmanas, are very great. The narration of Sakshi Gopal was spoken by Nityananda Prabhu and heard by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this whole chapter, we read the activities of Sakshi Gopal, who came so mercifully as a witness for the Brahmanas from Vrindavan to southern India. So that far away he walked with the Brahman, and just to keep the word of the Brahmana that I will be witnessing this event if you need me. That's why he came, So in this narration, it is written that it was spoken by Nityananda Prabhu and heard by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So because Nityananda Prabhu had heard it before, when he visited before this time with the sannyasis, and that's why he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu whatever he heard before previously. So in the purport Prabhupada is writing, there are 4 points of instructions one should consider in the story of Sakshi Gopal. First one is the deity or Alsha Vigraha of Gopal, eternally Satchit and Ananda Vigraha, the transcendental form of the Lord. So one should remember that the Archa Vigraha are not of the Lord Gopal is actually Satchit Ananda Vigraha. It's full of eternity, full of bliss, and full of knowledge. So these three things, when we say absolute truth, so the Lord has all these 3 things in full. And the Lord's form is transcendental, not material form. So any Archa Vigraha of the Lord we see, that form is transcendental form of the Lord. Second thing which we should learn, that the deity surpasses material regulative principles and extend the reality of transcendental principles. So the deity, actually, all the material principles are secondary to the transcendental position, transcendental principles. So principle of transcendence, which takes us to bhakti, these has much more weight than the material principles or material regulatory principles, because material regulatory principles has less value than the transcendental principles. Third thing, what it shows, that one can be situated in a transcendental position after becoming a Brahman. But as a Brahman, one has to follow the regulatory principles very strictly. So once we are situated in transcendental position, once we become Brahman, then we should follow these transcendental rules and regulations very, very strictly. Not like following loose, sometime follow, sometime not follow, not like that. We should following it very strictly. And lastly, as a Brahman, one has to follow regular principles. Lastly, Brahmana Devaya, when we say, indicates Lord Krishna himself. Brahmana Devaya means who is the Deva, the supreme Lord of the Brahmanas. So who is the supreme Lord of Brahmanas? Lord Krishna himself. That's why it is said, Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya, Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya, Namo Namaha. So this indicates that the devotee who is under the protection of Krishna is automatically situated as a Brahman. So the devotee who does the devotional service under the protection of Krishna is automatically situated as a Brahmana. It's not the Brahmana caste, the Brahmana or anything, If somebody is doing very nicely situated in the bhakti, then he is definitely a Brahman, and such Brahman is not illusion. Because in this material world, actually, illusion is the big thing, Maya, because what is the Maya which is not? And under the influence of Maya, actually, we think, we are this body and our job is to make our body happy. And that's whole purpose, actually, many people think in this material world, that I'm here to enjoy, give pleasure to my body and my senses. And that's why most of the people in this material world think, and they follow this kind of principles. But in actuality, what we have to do, we have to think that we are the soul, which is part and parcel of Krishna, and we should do any kind of devotional service and at our maximum strength, whatever we can do, the best possible service we should do the Lord, not to this body. Because what happened, why we are like that in this material world? Because when we were whatever in previous life, at the time of death, if we were thinking about a woman, and because most of the men actually at the time of death, they will think about his wife or his girlfriend or whatever. So if they think like that, not thinking about Krishna, what happens? They definitely get the body of a female, because they were thinking about the lady. So they get the female body. And then they will think about when they get the female body, then they will think to enjoy with the male. And so that kind of cycle goes on and goes on. So we never end up from this material cycle of birth and death. So the best thing, we should think about Krishna at the time of death. And how we can think about the Lord at the time of death? Only by practicing whole life about Krishna. Then only we can think. That's why Prabhupada all the time recommend, read the Krishna book at the time of sleep. So we can remember Krishna whole night, in the dream also we will hear, we will listen Krishna songs or Bhagavatam, like that, So if you keep hearing about Krishna, and especially read Krishna's Leelas at the night time, that's most beneficial to us. So we should somehow or the other, we should try our best so we don't remember these material things at the time of death. So our next birth is good in the devotees, in the form of a devotee, and we can continue our devotion that way. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So next two verses are the last two verses of this chapter, which is the Phalashtrut. Phalashtrut is so like what benefit we get out of this reading these activities of the Sakshi Gopal. So next verse, please.
শ্রদ্ধাযুক্ত হয়ে ইহা শুনে যেই জন অচিরে মিলয় তারে গোপাল চরণ।
One who hears this narration of Lord Gopal with faith and love very soon attains the lotus feet of Lord Gopal. So this narration is very important to hear, because if we hear with great faith, then we can attain the love very fast. And we can all the time think about the lotus feet of the Lord Gopal if we hear very attentively and with faithfully. We have to have complete faith. It's not like a story, this is the truth. This actually happened. Otherwise, some people will say, who cares, how Krishna can come, a deity of stone can come from Vrindavan so many miles. So if one thinks like that, then he will never attain the faith in Krishna, and he will never attain the lotus feet of the Lord. But if we have full faith that yes, Lord can do anything, then of course, it will be very beneficial for that particular soul if he faithfully hears this. Next verse, please.
শ্রীরূপ রঘুনাথ পদে যার আশ, চৈতন্য চরিতামৃত কহে কৃষ্ণ দাস।
Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following their footsteps. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purport of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 5th chapter, describing the activities of the Sakshi Gopal. So, in each word, each chapter at the end, all the time, Krishna Das Kaviraj, he actually prayed at the lotus feet of Rupa and Raghunath and always desired their mercy. So, without the mercy of the Acharyas, nobody can progress. So, we all the time should have the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas and pure devotees of the Lord, because without that we can never ever progress in the our spiritual journey. Actually, if we want to increase our spirituality and our desire to fix at the lotus feet of Krishna, then definitely we should get the mercy of the Acharyas as much as possible, and mercy of the pure devotees of the Lord. That is very much needed for all of us, and without that we cannot progress. So now we are going to 6th chapter now, and in the 6th chapter there is Sri Prabhupada puts before the chapter, some summary of the chapter. So I will read the summary of the chapter in maybe 5-6 minutes, so 1.5 page almost, and it will give you, it's almost 2 pages actually, and it will give a lot of conception, what is in this whole chapter. This chapter entitled as Liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And this summary study of the 6th chapter is given by Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his Amrit Pravaha Bhashya. Amrit Pravaha Bhashya, Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote it, and he gave the summary of this chapter there. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the temple of Jagannath, he immediately fainted. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then took him to his house. Meanwhile, Gopinath Acharya, the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, met Mukunda Datta and talked to him about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas and his journey to Jagannath Puri. After hearing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fainting and his being carried to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, people crowded there to see the Lord. Sri Nityananda Prabhu and other devotees then visited the Jagannath temple, and when they came back to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to external consciousness. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya received everyone and distributed Mahaprasadam with great care. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then became acquainted with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and arranged accommodation at his aunt's house. His brother-in-law, Gopinath Acharya, established that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his many disciples could not accept this. However, Gopinath Acharya convinced Sarvabhauma that no one can understand the supreme personality of Godhead without being favored by him. So it's a very important thing that we cannot understand the Supreme Lord until unless Lord wants us to understand this. So we need the Lord's mercy and Vaishnava's mercy. Otherwise, we can read 10, 15 times, 20 times, 100 times, doesn't matter. We will not understand these things without the being favored by the Lord. This he proved by Shastric quotations from the revealed scriptures that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself in person. Still, Sarvabhauma did not take these statements very seriously. Hearing all these arguments, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told his devotees that Sarvabhauma was his spiritual master and that whatever he said out of affection was for everyone's benefit. So we can see the greatness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here, that he's saying that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because he was very aged, so he was in the age, so he was a fatherly figure. So he said, he's my father, spiritual master, and whatever he's saying, out of affection, that I should, because Sarvabhauma was telling that he should study the Vedanta and all these things, and that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that is for everyone's benefit, because he's so affectionate to me. When Sarvabhauma met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked him to hear Vedanta philosophy from him. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told that I will teach you the Vedanta philosophy. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted this proposal. And for 7 days, he continuously heard Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explain Vedanta Sutra. However, the Lord remained very silent. Because of his silence, the Bhattacharya asked him whether he was understanding the Vedanta philosophy. And the Lord replied, Sir, I can understand Vedanta philosophy very clearly, but I cannot understand your explanations. There was then a discussion between Bhattacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu concerning the authority of Vedic scripture, especially the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutra. The Bhattacharya was an impersonalist, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proved that the absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead. He proved that the conception of the Mayavadi philosophers concerning the impersonal absolute truth was incorrect. The absolute truth is neither impersonal nor without power. the greatest mistake made by Mayavadi philosophers is in conceiving the absolute truth to be impersonal and without energy. In all the Vedas, the unlimited energies of the absolute truth have been accepted. It is also accepted that the absolute truth has all his transcendental, blissful, eternal form. According to the Vedas, both the Lord and the living entities are equal in quality, but they are different quantitatively. The real philosophy of absolute truth states that the Lord and his creation are inconceivably and simultaneously one and different. The conclusion that the Mayavadi philosophers are actually atheists. There was much discussion on this issue between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but despite all his endeavors, Bhattacharya was defeated at the end. So actually here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explaining to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was actually a Mayavadi. He was following impersonalist. He was Maya. So this Mayavadi philosophy actually we should understand and what is Mayavad, what is impersonal and what is personal. Because as a devotee we follow the form of that Krishna has the form. That's a personal. And impersonal is the Krishna has no form at all. And Mayavadi is the philosophy actually, and which they are also Maya. All Mayavadis are impersonal too. So, but all impersonalists, they are not Mayavadi. Mayavadi is philosophy actually, which was established by Shankaracharya. At that time, there was Buddhist doctrine was going on, so much prevalent, and animals were killed and all those things were going on. So Shankaracharya actually spread this Mayavadi philosophy. So these Mayavadis actually believe that the Supreme Lord is Brahman or his spiritual energy. So what they believe actually, that Lord is unlimited, but he has no form, he has no quality and no activity. So how we can see that they think a lot about these things, So, and they think actually that the Mayavadi philosophy, that Krishna is, or the Supreme Lord is actually is a living entity like us, They think that way, that Lord is just like us. And he is covered by illusion. So how the Lord can be covered by illusion? That means illusion is more stronger than the Lord actually. So their philosophy is actually not right. Therefore, it is temporarily separated from the Brahman. So they think, that before Krishna was impersonal, now he became personal, and again he is going to be impersonal. So this philosophy, so what they think actually, they think that everything is God. That means you are God, I am God, and somehow or the other we forgot that you were God. And now we know that we are God. So that's what he say, I'm Brahmasmi, that I'm the Brahma and you are also Brahma. So that's why their thinking is quite wrong. So these Mayavadis actually never ever accept the personal form of the Lord. And they don't feel Krishna is the absolute truth. But they think that Krishna is the creation of this Maya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called the Mayavadis the biggest offenders. Mayavadi, Maha Aparadhi. So that's why. So Mayavadi philosophy actually also called the Vedanta philosophy. So they do not differentiate between the higher spiritual energy and the lower material energy. They cannot distinguish between them. They don't think that is spiritual energy is separate than the material energy. They think everything is Maya. And they think, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithyam. So they think that this Jagat is Mithya, false. So they do not have the understanding of the transcendental nature of the Lord. And people in this material world, they are very easily influenced by Mayavadi philosophy. And that's why many people don't believe in the God. They become atheistic completely, or they think Lord is impersonal, and there is no need to go to temple or serving the Lord. So this is actually going on in this material world, which is very unfortunate. Nothing much can be done unless we preach the proper philosophy. That's why Srila Prabhupada is spreading, and by his mercy only, this whole movement, Krishna conscious movement, actually is trying to spread that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and we all are servant, we are not this body. So these are the main philosophies of Krishna consciousness, and we are part and parcel of Lord of Krishna, and our job is to Jiva Sarup Hoy Krishna and Nitya Das. So if we follow these principles, then we can become nice devotee. So I will continue reading. At the request of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then explained the Atmaram verse of Srimad Bhagavatam in 18 different ways. And we are going to read that in the future classes, that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this Atmaram verse, 18 different types, 18 different translations of one verse only. When the Bhattacharya came to his senses, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disclosed his real identity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Bhattacharya came to his real senses that how this young sannyasi can translate one verse in 18 different meanings, of the same verse, that he must have been very Supreme Lord himself, so, and then he came to his senses. At that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disclosed him, he showed him Shatbhuj form with Rama, Krishna and Chaitanya, all three together in the same body. So he showed him. Bhattacharya then recited 100 verses in the praise of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, but then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya actually compiled 100 verses, and right in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he showed that was in the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we can see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can change a person like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was impersonalist, atheist kind of thing, and now he suddenly changed from impersonalist to completely personal form of the Lord. So immediately part took. So here says, one morning after the incidents, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received some prasad from Jagannath temple, and offered it to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya without caring for formality of the Bhattacharya immediately partook the Mahaprasadam. So this is actually shows the glory of Mahaprasad. A devotee should not think when we get the Mahaprasad from the temple, right away we should consume it, we should take it, honor it. Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya did this thing, without doing the gargles or brushing the teeth or anything, he immediately partakes the Mahaprasadam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy that how he changed so fast. Without caring for the formalities, Bhattacharya immediately partook Mahaprasadam. On another day, when the Bhattacharya asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the best way to worship and meditate, the Lord advised him to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. On another day, Bhattacharya wanted to change the reading of the Tatteno Kampa Susumikshamano. So there is the last line is says Bhakti Pade. So he Mukti Pade actually in the verse, but Bhattacharya wanted to change it to Bhakti Pade. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that no, we cannot change the Shastras like that, so let it be Bhakti Pade, let it be Mukti Pade as it is given, because Bhakti Pade will be improper there. So because Mukti Pade indicated the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Having become a pure devotee, Bhattacharya said, because the meaning is hazy, I still prefer Bhakti Pade. At this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other inhabitants of Jagannath Puri became very pleased. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya thus became a pure Vaishnava, and the other learned scholars there followed him. So we can see how by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvam Bhattacharya changed to a Shuddha Bhakta. So let us start reading the first verse.
Nomi tang gaurachandram ja kutarko karkashayam sarvabhaumam sarvabhuma bhakti bhuman acharat.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord Gaurachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who converted the hearted Sarvam Bhattacharya, the reservoir of all bad logic, into a great devotee. So we can see that the writer of Caritamrita, he is offering his obeisances to the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Gaurachandra. And he said that he converted the hard-hearted Sarvam Bhattacharya, who had so much bad logic. He was impressionist, so he changed him to a great devotee of the Lord. So this is the greatness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Next verse, please.
Jaya Jaya Gaurachandra Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktavinda.
All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya. And all glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So he is glorifying everyone, all the Goswamis and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. So next verse, please.
আবেশে চলিলা প্রভু জগন্নাথ মন্দিরে জগন্নাথ দেখি প্রেমে হইলা অস্থিরে.
In ecstasy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went from Alarnath from Atharnala to the temple of Jagannath. After seeing Lord Jagannath, he became very restless due to love of Godhead. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went from Atharnala, like we discussed last time, that Atharnala is like 18 different tributaries of the water. So and there is a bridge there. Atharnala is at when Jagannath Puri, we enter in Jagannath Puri, Atharnala bridge is there. And Jagannath Puri starts right there. So many people offer Dandavat there before entering into the Jagannath Puri, because it's the holy dham. Lord Chaitanya and Jagannath Ji, actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed most of his time in this material world in Jagannath Puri and performed all these leelas there. So it's a holy dham, and it is the place where Lord Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra are there. So that is it starts from Atharnala. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he entered that Atharnala bridge and went to Jagannath Puri temple, he was very, very restless. And why? Because he extreme love for Lord Jagannath. He wanted to run and hug him and touch the feet, because he was behaving like he was Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, but he was showing the human form. He came in as a form of devotee, so he was showing those symptoms. Next verse, please.
জগন্নাথ আলিঙ্গিতে চলিলা ধাইয়া মন্দিরে পড়িলা প্রেমে আবিষ্ট হইয়া.
Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went swiftly to embrace Lord Jagannath. But when he entered the temple, he was so overwhelmed with love of Godhead that he fainted on the floor. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually very fast, very with his speed, he went to inside the temple of Lord Jagannath, and he wanted to embrace the Lord Jagannath. But as soon as he entered, because of his overwhelm, he was so much overwhelmed with the love of Godhead, love of God Jagannath Ji, he immediately fainted on the floor, and he fell down on the ground, actually right in front of the deities. Next verse, please.
দৈবে সার্বভৌম তাহাকে করে দর্শন ওড়িশা মারিতে তেহে হইল নিবারণ।
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya happened to see him. When the watchmen threatened to beat the Lord, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya immediately forbade him. So, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down in front of the deities, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was the, president or of the temple, or he was the biggest manager there, and he was under the, because king actually was the owner of the temple, but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was his main person to take over the temple, all the responsibility of the temple. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was there, and the watchman there, actually, he wanted to beat up Lord, because he was showing that he just showing up, so he wanted to throw him out of, right from the, in front of the Jagannath ji. That's why, but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said not to do that, and then he has to follow the order. Next verse, please.
প্রভুর সৌন্দর্য আর প্রেমের বিকার দেখি সার্বভৌম হইলা বিস্মিত অপার।
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very surprised to see the personal beauty of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as the transcendental transformation wrought on the body due to the love of Godhead. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was watching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very carefully, and he was so much mesmerized to see the beauty of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very beautiful, extremely beautiful. No one can describe his beauty, actually. He was possessing a radiant golden beauty, which is compared to molten gold. That's what we say, Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. He came in the bhava of Radharani and color of Radharani. So his body was very extremely beautiful, and it was adorned with the sandalwood all over the body. So his actually appearance was so captivating that anybody will be impressed to see him, and they will feel like keep seeing the Lord. When Lord went to South India Yatra, and he was going from town to town, people in each and every village, they were so captivated just by the beauty of seeing the Lord. So Lord is so beautiful. So, and so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body and his ecstatic love to the Lord, witnessed by everyone, that how much he likes the Supreme Lord. Many, many people will come just to see his beauty. They didn't know who is Lord Chaitanya, or he is great devotee, or he is the Supreme Lord. Nobody knew that. But they will just come to see the beauty, because everyone says that he's so beautiful, so beautiful. So they will just come in thousands and thousands together to see just the beauty of the Lord. But Lord was so beautiful. And also, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya noticed the transcendental transformation about Ashtasattvic Bhav in the body because of the love of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had so much love for Lord Jagannath that he was showing all Ashtasattvic Bhav in his body. Next verse, please.
বহুক্ষণে চৈতন্য নহে ভোগের কাল হইল সার্বভৌম মনে তবে উপায় চিন্তিল।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained unconscious for a long time. Meanwhile, the time for offering prasad to Lord Jagannath came, and the Bhattacharya tried to think of a remedy. So at that time, it was time for offering the bhoga to Jagannath ji. And so Bhattacharya was thinking, the Lord, because when they offer the bhoga to the Lord, at that time there should be nobody there. So Bhattacharya was thinking what we should do now, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is fainted there right in front of the deity. So Bhattacharya was thinking the best way to clear this situation. Next verse, please.
শিষ্য পরিছা দ্বারা প্রভু নিল বহায়া ঘরে আনি পবিত্র স্থানে রাখিল সহায়া.
While Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unconscious, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, with the help of the watchman and some disciples, carried him to his home and laid him down in a very sanctified room. Purport. At that time, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya lived on the southern side of the Jagannath Puri temple. His home was practically on the beach and was known as Markandeya Sarastat. At present, it is used as the monastery of Ganga Mata. So, Ganga Mata Goswami. So, her ashram is there in his house now at present time. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya actually was living on the southern side of the temple, from the southern gate. So he took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at his home because he thought, that how, because he was unconscious for a very, very long time. And so Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya actually, with the help of the watchman and his disciples, he took Mahaprabhu to his house and he laid down in a very sanctified room, separate room, which was much more clean and everything. So he put him there because he understood that this is not simple personality, it's a great personality. Next verse, please.
শ্বাস প্রশ্বাস নাহি উদর স্পন্দন দেখিয়া চিন্তিত হইল ভট্টাচার্যের মন.
Examining the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma saw that his abdomen was not moving and that he was not breathing. Seeing his condition, Bhattacharya was very anxious. So Bhattacharya was thinking that that his abdomen was not moving at all, and it looked that he is not breathing also. So he was worried that it's not like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may have gone, left his body, something like that. So he was very anxious, what is going on. He didn't know, and he didn't know what to do at that point. Next verse, please.
সূক্ষ্ম তুলা আনি নাসা অগ্রেতে ধরিল ঈষৎ চলয়ে তুলা দেখি ধৈর্য হইল.
The Bhattacharya then took a fine cotton swab and put it before Lord's nostril. When he saw the cotton move very slightly, he became hopeful. So, if person is breathing or not breathing, one should bring a small cotton, fiber of the cotton in front of the nostril. And if he moves a little bit, that means his breathing is still on. So this is one of the tests. What Bhattacharya did, he brought some cotton, fine cotton swab, and put it in front of the nostril of Lord. And that cotton was moving very slowly. So Lord was actually taking very slight breathing. So then Bhattacharya becomes hopeful that Lord will come back and show us the mercy. So he was hopefully thinking about that. Next verse, please.
বশী ভট্টাচার্য মনে করে বিচার এই কৃষ্ণ প্রেমের সাত্ত্বিক বিকার.
Sitting beside Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he thought this is a transcendental ecstatic transformation brought about by love of Krishna. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was sitting just next to, by the side of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was fainted, who was in unconscious state. And so he was seeing the transformation in the Lord, that this is the Ashtasattvic Bhav. He had all the Ashtasattvic symptoms of all the Ashtasattvic Bhav. And he knew that this is brought by the love of Krishna. He has so much love for the Supreme Lord that they show this kind of Bhav to, but people who knows, what are Ashtasattvic Bhav, they can know. Otherwise, they will not know. So, but Bhattacharya knew what are the signs and symptoms of Ashtasattvic Bhav, and he knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in that condition because of the love of the Supreme Lord. Next verse, please.
সুদীপ্ত সাত্ত্বিক এই নামে যে প্রলয় নিত্যসিদ্ধ ভক্তে সে সুদীপ্ত ভাব হয়।
Upon seeing the sign of Sudipt Sattvic, Sarvam Bhattacharya could immediately understand the transcendental aesthetic transformation in the body of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Such a sign takes place only in the bodies of eternally liberated devotees, in the Nitya Siddhas. So those kind of Ashtasattvic Vikar can come only, transformation can come only in the Nitya Siddha people. The worldly people cannot get that kind of sign and they cannot copy it. So the word Sudipta Sattvic is explained as follows by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentions 8 kind of transformation in the body of the advanced devotee. These are sometimes checked by the devotees, and there are 2 stages of such checking, technically known as Dhyumita and Jwalita. The Dhyumita smoking stage exhibited only 1 or 2 transformations or slightly present, and it is possible to conceal them. When the more than 2 or 3 transcendental transformations are manifest, it is still possible to conceal them, although with great difficulty. That stage is called the Jalita or the lighted. When the 4 or 5 symptoms are exhibited, it's known as Dipta or blazing stage has been reached. When the 5, 6 or all 8 symptoms are simultaneously manifest, the position is called Udipta or inflamed. And when all 8 symptoms are multiplied by 1,000 times and are all visible at once, the devotee is in the Sudipta, intensely inflamed stage. So that's the Sudipta. Nitya Siddha Bhakta indicates the eternally liberated associates of the Lord. Such devotees enjoy the company of the Lord in all 4 relationships: as a servant, friend, parent, and conjugal lover. So all the rasas, Dasya ras, Sakya ras, Vatsalya ras, and Madhurya ras. So for those devotees, they are in the company of the Lord, and they are in these 4 different relationships. So this is very important to understand these Ashtasattvic Vikar actually. So Ashtasattvic Vikar are like a stamba, like stamba means they are like a pole, not moving at all. So this is one of the sign of the Ashtasattvic Vikar. Then stamba, then second is swed. Swed is the perspirations. Third is romanch. Romanch is in the extreme happiness. Then swarbhed. Swarbhed means change of the voice. Then vepathu. Vepathu means trembling. And then vevarnya. Vevarnya means facial color changes. And then ashru. Ashru is the weeping. And then paralysis. That means fainting. So these are the Ashtasattvic Bhav. And when they come, then it's very, very good for the devotees, because devotees, when they have the extreme love for the Lord, they show this kind of symptoms. So let us discuss a little bit about the Sattvic Bhav. What are Sattvic Bhav and what is Sudipta Sattvic? So Sattvic Bhav has these all 8 symptoms, and like paralysis, perspiration, standing hair on the end, then choking of the voice, trembling, changing the color, tears, and fainting. So these are all Sattvic Bhav, and it may come in a different way. Some may show 1 or 2 symptoms, some may show 3, 4 symptoms, some may show 5, 6, some may show all 8, and some may show all 8 with great intensity, which is called Sudipta. So this Sattvic Bhav actually comes in three types, One is Snigna, which is the direct Rati. Second one is Digdha, which is indirect Rati. And third one is Ruksha, which is the false Rati. So there are different degrees of the Sattvic Bhav. Like what is Prabhupada is giving in the purport. It says Dhimyayita, which is smoky. Then Jwalita, which is luminous. And Dipta, which is brilliant. And Uddipta, very brilliant. So these are degrees according to how many symptoms comes. So Dhumita or smoky is manifest only for the very short time actually. And sometime only like one or two symptoms comes, and they can be hidden also. So some devotee may hide them, even if they are getting one or two symptoms, they can hide them. So this is Dhumit is like a smoke, it doesn't show the fire, it's just a smoke a little bit. People can hide them and still may have some kind of one or two symptoms out of these 8. And next one is Jwalita. Jwalita is luminous. So when more than 2 or 3 Sattvic Bhav appears very clearly, and they also can be concealed, but with difficulty. It's very not possible that easily somebody can conceal them. So when you are seeing some symptoms, then mostly it's luminous because people cannot hide them. The third one is Dipta or brilliant. So in the brilliant, what happens? 3, 4, 5 symptoms comes together, kind of Sattvic Bhav, and they appear very strongly, and they cannot be concealed by anyone actually at all. So this is the brilliant. And the last one is Udipta, which is very brilliant. When 5, 6 or 7 or all 8 Sattvic Bhav, they manifest together at once in their most extreme form. And they cannot be hidden anyway. So we can see these all symptoms we can see in the Brajvasis. Then when Krishna left Mathura, then Gopis showed this kind of in bhav in front of after Akrurji was seeing them, when Akrurji was seeing them taking Krishna to Mathura, he were showing. So those gopis, their limbs were completely paralyzed. Their hairs were standing on the end. Their voice was choking, and their face became pale, and they were crying actually, and then they fainted. So they were showing all these 8 symptoms. So gopis are the pure devotees, we can see this kind of Sattvic Bhav, all 8 Sattvic Bhav, Ashta Sattvic Bhav in their bodies. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing all those forms, so in the great proportion. So that's why Prabhupada is writing here, Uddipta. So Dipta, Sattvic Bhavs. So next verse please, now 13th.
অধিরূঢ় ভাব যার তার এই বিকার, মনুষ্য দেহে দেখি বড় চমৎকার।
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya considered the uncommon ecstatic symptoms of Adhiruddha Bhava or appearing in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is very wonderful. How are they possible in the body of a human being? So when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was watching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was very brilliant devotee, so he knew all this. He knew about all these signs and symptoms of Sattvic Bhav. So he was watching them that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing the Sudipta Sattvic Bhav, which is very, very like higher stage of showing this Bhav, So he knew that because this kind of Bhav cannot be shown in any human being. Only the Nitya Siddhas can show this kind of Bhav for the Lord. So he knew that this is not an ordinary human being. He must be Supreme Lord, who can only show, or a Nitya Siddha person. So Adhiruddha Bhav or Adhiruddha Mahabhav is explained in Ujjwal Nilamani by Rupa Goswami. So Radharani, she is always in the Adiruddha Mahabhav. She is the only person who is in the Mahabhav. No one else except Radharani is in that Adiruddha Mahabhav. Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes Rupa Goswami as follows: the loving propensity of Ashraya. Ashraya is who? The devotee. And towards the Vishaya is the Lord, Supreme Lord, becomes so static that even after enjoying the company of the beloved, the devotee feels that his enjoyment is insufficient. At such time, the lover sees the beloved in a different way. Such a development of ecstasy is called anurag. When anurag reaches its highest limit and becomes perceived in the body, is called bhava. When the bodily symptoms are not distinct, very distinct, however, the emotional stage is still called anurag, not the bhav. When the bhav or ecstasy is intensified, it is called mahabhav. So when bhav goes to extreme form, intensified, then it is mahabhav. The symptom of mahabhav are visible only in the bodies of external associates like the gopis. And Radharani is the fountainhead of the gopis. So that's why Radharani was showing all these kind of symptoms, And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed the same because he came in the bhav of Radharani. So he was showing the Mahabhav like that. And the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya can notice it. So we can see the nectar of devotion, as Prabhupada is writing here, that nectar of devotion and Ujjwal Nilamani by Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami describes this in 4 different chapters about the Sattvic Bhav. So he one chapter for each kind of bhav. So one is Vaibhav, one is Anubhav, one is Sthai Bhav, and one is Vyabhichari Bhav. So these are the 4 big chapters. It's very hard to describe in short time. So maybe we can discuss it next time. But these are the 4 different kind of bhavs are there. So in this one, what is the Sattvic Bhav actually? When the heart becomes overwhelmed by the Rati or Bhav in relation to Krishna, not in relation to your girlfriend or any relative or anything, If it is in relation to Bhav, that kind of symptoms, one is showing, that is the Sattvic Bhav. So it's already over 9 o'clock, so I will end here. Somebody has any question, comment, we can discuss it. Otherwise, we will end here. Thank you very much for listening. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very nice description about how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was liberated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is very much learning for all of us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anyone else has any comments or any questions?
Each purport has the description. Is that right, Prabhu?
Each purport has description, not... Yes, I think so far.
About Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, not purport. Translation is in every verse, but purport is in only very few verses. Yeah.
If I wish you would get on a line.
Send RSI Prabhu, WhatsApp audio.
What you said, Mataji?
I wish we can get in a line, all the descriptions.
Yeah, it is very nicely described in Nectar of Devotion. I was seeing it yesterday. And but they are big chapters, very hard to read them. So big chapters, but Prabhupada actually very kindly gave us in very short and sweet answers to what these words mean,
Yeah.
You can understand about them, but if you want to really relish them, we should read the Nectar of Devotion, and then we can understand it much more clearly.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Nice class. Nobody else there.
Anyone else? If not, then let's wind up here.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo
Evacha patitanam
Tanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki
Jai. Thank you very